This episode of the Dayton Informer Interviews is sponsored by Charlie's Deli and Catering at 409 Troy Street in Dayton, Ohio. Since 1964, Charlie's Deli and Catering has been an old North Dayton institution delivering delicious sandwiches, import foods, import beers. We love it! Tell me everything that you know about the I.R.G. deal. In layman's terms, who are these guys, and when did you find out about the story, and what's it mean for Daytonians? Just elaborate.
Well, we have to start out with a legacy operation in the old Emory Air Freight sorting hub that's part of the airport facility. The city of Dayton subsidized it heavily, gave them lots of tax breaks, structured this because it was jobs. So when Emory had their crash and the business sort of fell apart, they ended up getting bought by UPS. UPS didn't need a facility here since they had one already in Louisville. UPS took over the facility, and it has a lease until 2020. So we've got 9 years left on the lease. As part of the lease, and that lease is with the city of Dayton for the land. It's not for the building. They don't own the building. The city does not own the building. There's all kinds of funkiness with this because when you have property on airport grounds, the FAA steps in. And the FAA has very strict standards about what is aircraft ready. They require, security. So you have to have, TSA type security when you go in and out of the building.
Yeah. They
require that the pavement all be perfect and the roof be cleared and that you can't have birds' nests in your rafters. And I mean, it goes on and on and on. The place has to be secured so no one can sit down there and show up with a rocket launcher, for instance. Anyway, so the FAA requires that the building be maintained, requires that the building have security full-time, all these things. And UPS was bound to stay in this deal. And the FAA requires that the building be used for aviation purposes. And previously, it was 100% of the building had to be used for aviation-related facilities. So that means you had to have some sort of shipping or aviation purpose, repairing planes, etc. The building itself cost well past $120, $130 million.
Yeah, it's a large structure.
It's a large building, and it has inside of it basically two areas. One is the sorting, loading, conveyor system, and then the other is the IT area, which is, Class A office space, all set up for high-speed internet and everything else. This has been sitting there, and the city has been trying to market it. UPS has been trying to market it. But, of course, UPS doesn't want to market it to, a DHL or anybody who's going to compete directly with them. And usually what goes on with these hub sorting facility type things or these depot facilities is you usually have other buildings pop up, other companies pop up around them because they need access to that quick shipping. So you have repair depots or warehousing for things that are needed like instantly overnight, type things. Wilmington had a whole sub-economy near DHL for these sorts of things. So the airport facility has extra advantage. It's in a free trade zone, international free trade zone. So this building has a lot of pluses. The location has a lot of pluses. But that 100% aviation use has always been the sticking point, plus UPS doesn't want a competitor in there. They'd rather have people down at Louisville feeding their Louisville facility.
And if I'm correct, the city of Dayton was in a guaranteed lease with UPS.
Yes.
Through what year?
UPS had to pay that lease all the way through 2020.
And how much was that a year?
2020.
How much per year?
Taxes.
I'm sorry, how much was that per year, though, through 2020?
I believe it was something close to $700,000 a year.
Okay.
But UPS also had to do the maintenance, provide the security, and pay the property taxes.
Okay, so enough money that could probably open up a couple city swimming pools if nothing
easily.
else.
Easily. So this deal guaranteed money. Now, supposedly UPS was going to go and argue the tax value of the building and try to get a reduction so that they might not pay as much in taxes. And they were talking about lease renegotiations, but there's really no reason for the city to change the lease terms. There's no obligation for the city to change that.
Mm-hmm.
So somehow what happened was a local developer saw this building, saw an opportunity, went to do something with the building that wouldn't change the inside of the building at all. At first, all he wanted to do was provide the electricity for the building and electricity to the airport by putting solar cells on the roof.
Okay.
And he was offering this deal to UPS and saying, look, you know, at least you can make some money back off of this, and it's not going to cost anything. And he's basically going to use UPS's facility because it's perfect, because there's no trees, there's no anything else, and the maintenance. And,
yeah, it's like open field area as far as the eye can see, pretty much.
And he was going to save them money on their electrical requirements and generate some cash. They got sort of excited, and of course he had to talk to people at the City of Dayton. Soon after he presented this, and the City of Dayton says, well, what happens when 2020 comes? UPS says, oh, we'll just hand the building over to them. All of a sudden, wheels started going in their head, and they said, So they wrote I.R.G. some emails, and all these have been published on my blog, and said, oh, come in and take a look at this deal, as if I.R.G. is some sort of, golden savior to the city. And I.R.G. said, oh, we're interested, but how should we write the proposal? So the City of Dayton wrote the proposal, sent it to them. 12 days later, they sent it back. And basically the deal is UPS pays I.R.G. $6 million, the net present value of the lease payments, hands the building over to I.R.G. with all its contents. I.R.G. puts $3 million in escrow for the city to pay for the lease payments for the next 3 years. The lease gets reduced down to be due in 2016 instead of 2020. And I.R.G. gets some things that are kind of a pain in the butt taken off their hands, like the fuel farm. There's a fuel farm there, which of course, empty fuel tanks are environmental issues. They get to not have to deal with that.
Who's going to take that away?
It's not quite clear, but supposedly UPS is going to take care of that for them.
Okay.
And by taking that fuel farm out, it guarantees it's not going to be used for aviation and flying planes, etc., etc. However, that still leaves $20 million plus worth of conveyor equipment inside the building that I.R.G. is free to take, sell for scrap, and walk away and say, oh well, we were making the building available for something else. I.R.G. is also somehow no longer restrained by the 20%, the 100% rule, and is only saying they have to have 10% aviation use. Now, everybody's all saying, well, it was I.R.G. who deep pockets and all these skills versus, this local guy. And they're missing the point. We had to do nothing, and that building would stay in pristine shape, have the taxes paid, maintenance done, and we'd get our lease payments.
So
we didn't have to break the deal.
We're kind of gambling, at least the city council, with these funds as far as what have you heard as far as positive things that could be going in there, or is this all pretty much just in the promises stage?
I.R.G. has,
which means
has zero proven track record at doing anything in the City of Dayton other than buying buildings incredibly cheap and taking scrap value out of them or tearing them down and shuffling jobs around. I.R.G. has not been a visionary. They haven't even completed their contract on the Moraine truck facility. And the one they did on the GM Delphi plant down off by UD Arena, all they did was move some jobs in Dayton from one location to another. In the meantime, city could have taken the whole deal with UPS and just said, pay us the $6 million and kept all of the money, took the building, scrapped the building out, and said to I.R.G., if you got any better ideas what to do with this, we're all ears. They could have taken $6 million. They could have sold off the conveyor belt, sold off what other parts of the fuel farm, or scrapped it. But instead, they handed the deal over to I.R.G., gave them basically $3 million off the, no money down, $3 million to do nothing.
So basically, I.R.G. just had a big bunch of money thrown into their lap and said, here, it's yours, with a lot of the responsibility also taken away?
Here's how I explain it to people. I.R.G.'s goes to the poker table and gets handed $6 million worth of our money and gets told, you got to keep $3 million to pay us rent, but gamble away with the other $3 million what you want. No money down. I don't get to play poker for free. I don't know why I.R.G. does.
At what point do you think people will start demanding, at least legitimately, where are the jobs? I mean, how soon after this deal can people say, where are the jobs now? You know, this was done supposedly for jobs, so how much time can we give them till...
People in the city of Dayton haven't woken up to this whole economic development scam yet. I mean, it's been pulled over and over and over, and nobody's ever gone back and said, okay, you owe us money. I mean, we took over the Elder Beerman building with Citywide, retrofitted it all for Reynolds and Reynolds. They were there for less than a couple of years, closed the operation down. You know, we tore down the Sears building, paid way over what we should have for that land. Built Workflow One, relies on whatever you want to call that building. It set, and you know, and then shuffled money into it again to move a law firm in that was already there in town. They one game after another. It's every time it's a lose. In the meantime, the citizens have lost services. We have no parks and rec. We don't have money to fix our streets, but we're still dangling money and saying, oh, we could have kept NCR if we'd only thrown more money at them.
Do you think there's a correlation between this and a lot of what's going on a national level with people complaining about, yeah, the banks are getting all this money and jobs are nowhere to be found?
There's an absolute correlation that the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting screwed, but the poor are too busy watching television and sitting there and believing stuff that, you know, they're getting fed through the media. They're not paying attention.
Is there anything that you're encouraged by locally on this deal and other deals through time and just kind of the movement of power whatsoever? Or are you more discouraged nowadays?
I'm an optimist, but I don't see anything changing until we change some of the people we have in local government. I mean, we need a total house cleaning. The latest news out of the Board of Elections on these, you know, pushed under ballots is a federal offense, yet nobody seems to be looking to see what really happened. We've just got a whole monarchy of people who have, you know, been feeding themselves for a long time off the taxpayers. And now that there's not much money left, they're all starting to rat each other out. So sooner or later, we'll eventually get to a clean slate. But I don't have a whole lot of hope in most voters in the city of Dayton.
All right. Well, I tell you what, I thank you for your time. This first Moment with Esrati interview for the Dayton Informer. We'll be doing more with other folks throughout time, and have a great day, and I'll inform you when this gets up. All right?
Thank you very much.
Hey, you have a great day. That's David Esrati. His blog is esrati.com. Check it out. He's covering Dayton issues a lot and all the time.